Okay, so now we're going over the back of the formative review. So for number 12, we need to start by distributing that 5/6 in to the k and into this -2. So remember, this k really has a 1 coefficient, so 5/6 times 1 is 5/6. Okay, and then 5/6 times -2, I'm just going to do it off to the side, so 5/6 times -2 over 1. I would cross simplify here, so -2 divided by 2 is -1, 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then multiply across, so 5 times -1 is -5, 3 times 1 is 3, and that simplifies to -1 2/3. So I have -1 2/3, and don't forget to bring down that 4k, so plus 4k. Next, I would want to combine any like terms, so I'm going to box my terms. And I have this 5/6k plus 4k. They're both positive numbers, so I'm just going to add them. That gives me 4 and 5/6k. And then we just had this one constant left over, so -1 2/3. And that is our answer. Okay, when we go to number 13, we are going to again distribute first. So 4c times 3c. 4 times 3 is 12. C times c, remember, gives you c squared. Then 4c times 3. So 4 times 3 again is a positive 12. C times, there's no other variable, so we just bring the c over. And then we have to bring down this plus 3c squared. Now that we've gotten rid of our parentheses, we can go ahead and box our terms and combine any like terms. I'm going to box these up. And I see 2c squared, so I'm going to do 12c squared plus 3c squared. And that will give me 15c squared. And then we have the c family, so plus 12c. And that would be our final answer for number 13. Okay, for these, for 14 through 18, we are just identifying the different parts for the expression. So the first thing I would want to do is to go ahead and box my terms just so they're a little easier to find. So start at the back. Remember, box all the way through the sign. So this is becoming a plus or a positive y. This is a negative 10x squared, a positive 15, negative 8x squared, positive 9x squared, and a 7x. Then I list my terms. Each of the things I just boxed are different terms, so I'm just basically putting commas in between here. So I have 7x, comma, 9x squared, comma, negative 8x, comma, positive 15, comma, negative 10x squared, comma, and a positive y. You don't have to put your positive signs, but you do really need to make sure you have those negative signs. Remember, a term is a single variable, a single number, or a number and a variable together. All of those things are terms, and they're broken apart by those signs, the addition or subtraction signs. Next, for coefficients, remember your coefficient is your copilot. So every variable has a copilot, so we're just trying to identify each of those. So in this first, whoopsies. Here we go. In this first one, the 7x, 7 is your coefficient in your first term. The 9x squared, the 9 is your coefficient. Negative 8x, the negative 8 is your coefficient. 15 doesn't have a variable, so that's not 1. In negative 10x squared, the negative 10 is your coefficient. And in y, again, remember, every variable has a copilot, has a coefficient, so it's a positive 1. How many y's are there? There's 1 y. Okay. Next, we have our constants. Constants, remember, are just plain numbers. They do not have a variable with them. So the only term we had that didn't have a variable was plus 15. So our constant is a positive 15. Our variables, remember, are your letters that stand for a number. So each letter is a variable. If you have the same variable more than once, you don't have to list it multiple times. Also, we only list the letter. You don't put the coefficient on it. You don't put any exponents on it. So I can see x, and that one's listed multiple times. and y. And that is it. We don't put x squared. We don't have to list x 4 times. If you do, it's okay, but it's unnecessary. You don't need to do that. And finally, our like terms. So remember, they have the same last name. They have the same variable raised to the same exponent, or to the same power. So I have my 9x squared and my negative 10x squared. So they both have x squared. That's one set of like terms. I also have some x's in common. So I have a 7x and a negative 8x. There's only one constant, so that doesn't have a like term, and there's only one y, so that doesn't have a like term. All right, so number 19 gives you the visual model for the distributive property. And if you look right here, this 6 is lined up with this 6. So all the way across here, 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 all of those are 6 across. So we're going to be distributing that 6 in. So 6 times m would give me 6m for this box. And then the 6 times 5 would give me 30 for this box. Okay, they did ask us to write it 2 different ways. So one is a product and one is a sum. So when they ask us for a product, what they really want is written in distributive property before you distributed it. So that 6 was the thing that was in common that was being distributed across. So we put that on the outside of our parentheses. And then it was being multiplied by m plus 5. Then as a sum, that just means after you distributed it, what did you get? So 6 times m, again, was 6m. 6 times 5 was a 30, and it was a positive 30, so plus 30. Okay, finally, we have number 20. So it's asking us for the perimeter. It does say this is a square. So since it's a square, we should know that all 4 sides of a square are equal. So we could list this out 4x plus 1, 4x plus 1, 4x plus 1, right, for all the sides. Or we can just do this as distributive. There are 4 sides, and each of those sides is equal to 4x plus 1. So we can just multiply that in to find our answer. Okay, so we're going to do 4 times 4x. 4 times 4 is 16x. And the 4 times 1, so positive 4. And that is our perimeter.